Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is truly one of the worst video games to release in a long time because it let down an established fan base and it did not bring in a new audience. But not only was it disappointing for fans, but also Warner Brothers because they had said that it failed to meet their expectations, and now we're hearing from new reports that its sales were 33% lower than Gotham Knights and even 61% lower than Guardians of the Galaxy. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, of course, a lot of the sales numbers have just been speculation over the past month since the game's release, simply because we saw the Steam chart numbers. They never topped 13,000 players active at once, they dwindled extremely quickly, and of course, just judging by the social media backlash, it didn't seem like many people really enjoyed the experience that they purchased, and there were many people who actually were originally going to buy it and then canceled their pre-orders, but now a new report details that Rocksteady and Warner Bros. Games have a huge disaster on their hands with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, I think that any of us could have imagined that this was the case, just judging by the fact that it went on sale extremely quickly. They were really trying to market it on social media to Arkhamverse fans, even though, of course, Arkhamverse fans didn't want to buy this game because it disrespected the games that came before. And of course, if you're an average consumer and you want to research a game a little bit, you would know that Sweet Baby Inc. did play a part in this game's development. And of course, Sweet Baby Inc. is surrounded in controversy right now, along with many other narrative consultation companies in the industry. But it says Christopher Dring at Games Industry reports that the latest game sales data chart out of Europe, which tracks both physical and digital sales for AAA publishers that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, did not chart in the top 10 of sales for the month of February. So in the month of February, its release month in Europe, both physical and digital sales were disappointing for this game. The game placed 12th in the month, and Dring reported that its sales in its first 5 weeks of release were 33% lower than Gotham Knights in 2022 and 61% lower than Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy in 2021. Now, with Gotham Knights, I think that game failed, obviously, for a lot of reasons. The narratives that were shoved into it, people called out extremely quickly. The cast of characters was not bad, but a lot of the characters just felt like they should have been in Saints Row Reboot instead of, a Gotham / almost Arkhamverse game. It was seen as the spiritual successor to the Arkhamverse, which it definitely, in my opinion, did not even touch the 4 amazing Arkhamverse games that we got before. And of course, they had Batman, who was killed off extremely early and then was brought back just to have this big speech about white privilege and about how, he's more fortunate than some other people in the world, and that's what drove him in life, which of course was ridiculous. And then we had Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy that I think faced a lot of failure because of the Marvel's Avengers live service game that came before, because I've actually heard half decent things about this Guardians of the Galaxy game, but the problem was it came out right on the heels of Marvel's Avengers, and people at that point were already pretty sick and tired of Marvel and not very impressed with the content that was coming out for the MCU. So a lot of those fans were like, well, this phase in my life is kind of over. I'm just kind of over Marvel at this point. But it also did have some technical issues. The gameplay was not what everyone was exactly expecting. It did have some release problems with bugs and glitches. So both of those releases were bad, but Suicide Squad really took the cake. I mean, Suicide Squad, in my opinion, was even worse than both of these games. But it says, interestingly, Square Enix president and representative director Yosuke Masuda reported that Guardians of the Galaxy failed to meet the company's sales expectations. All of these games have that one thing in common. Now, when it comes to video games, especially single-player ones, they typically release, have their all-time high player counts, and then those numbers dwindle, and the game eventually fades into obscurity because, of course, the only time players are going to come back are when they want to do a second playthrough, or, of course, there are big updates and DLC releases. But with all three of these games, their all-time peak numbers are measly. Let's start with the worst out of the trio, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, a game I think would have gotten a little bit more attention and probably would have had a bit more hype behind it if it wasn't for the awful Marvel's Avengers live service game that came out. It all-time peaked at 9,826 players, which is nothing. Then, of course, we had Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League at 13,459. And then we had Gotham Knights at 23,923. So Gotham Knights isn't actually half bad, but it's still not great. And we still heard that it did not meet their expectations. And of course, we don't have console numbers, but we are comparing all of the Steam charts here, and none of these Steam charts look very promising for any of these games. And of course, with Gotham Knights and Kill the Justice League, one thing they had in common was Sweet Baby Inc. Sweet Baby Inc. worked on both of these games, helped the ruination of both of these games. And while Gotham Knights was not canon to the Arkhamverse and it was only seen as a spiritual successor, people still had pretty high expectations, and they failed to deliver. Same thing with Kill the Justice League. I went into it, even though being extremely skeptical, hoping it would at least be, from a technical standpoint, a really good game, like really good gameplay, really good pacing, and it just failed to deliver in every possible way. It has been so disappointing to see so many of these games release over the years just to be failures, because I don't want games to come out and be bad. I want things to be amazing. I love video games. I love movies. I love TV shows. I love entertainment in general, and I don't want bad products to come out. I want to be able to enjoy anything that I see that's going on to the market, but that's just not the case right now. And it is really funny to hear that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League sales were 33% worse than Gotham Knights and 61% lower than Guardians of the Galaxy, because we have said time and time again, I know I have said on this channel time and time again that this game was going to be a massive flop, and we had so much evidence, but we never had the facts, and now we do, that its sales were way, way worse than similar games coming out over the past few years. And of course, we already know that Warner Brothers has deemed this a failure, and it will be interesting to see if they actually decide to come out with all of the DLC. I know a Joker DLC is coming out soon, and they've teased at least one more, even though originally their plan was for 6 in total. I personally don't think they'll release all 6, but only time will tell. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.